Hey Nancy Drew fans, this is a special edition where I will be making the French dessert floating island from scratch. In book 2, Hannah made this dessert as part of a meal that was with steak and French fried potatoes and a fruit cup, and I had no idea what it was, but a couple of months ago I was in Chicago and had this amazing dessert at a little French place called Brasserie Joe, and since then I've been dying to make it, and I'm going to give it a try. So I'm starting with step 1 now, where I'll be making caramelized almonds that are later going to go into the egg whites. So here I have half a cup of granulated sugar that's mixed with 2 tablespoons of water. This is going to go on the stove to become caramel. And on the left I have half a cup of slivered almonds that are going to go into the oven for roasting. So here are the toasted almonds that just came out of the oven, and I've got the saucepan on with the sugar and water. That's going to turn into a nice light nut colored brown, and then when that's ready I'm going to put these in, and we're basically making pralines or brittle. Alright, so here are the caramelized almonds, which I think are the right shade of brown. It smells pretty good. And now they're just on this little pan here to cool. I have to separate 8 eggs because I need the yolks for the sauce, and I need the whites for the actual island part of the floating island. They're going to be whipped. And our 8 whites, and these both need to come up to the room temperature. Now I've got my caramelized almonds here that are cool enough for me to touch, and I'm just going to break them up into smaller pieces and put them into my hand blender because it needs to be pulverized. So I think I'm all set. I've got 8 egg whites that are now at room temperature, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar, a cup of sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla. So starting off pretty slow until they get frothy. And now the salt and cream of tartar. Now the sugar, 2 tablespoons at a time. The teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, now I think we're good. It looks, I think, like it's supposed to. I'm just going to check and make sure it's stiff enough. Yeah, alright, so that's perfect. So the almonds get folded in a 1/4 cup at a time. I have my pan that I have sprayed inside with Pam, you can also use butter, and sprinkled with sugar. And the egg whites now go in here, and you're supposed to pack it down as firmly as you can. Apparently, otherwise it'll get like little air pockets, which is bad. Alright, now it gets smoothed around on the top and cleaned up a little, and then it is ready to go into a 250-degree oven at, for I think about half an hour. So while that's cooking, now we make the sauce, and I just want to say that so far, it's really crazy to me that Hannah just made this meal randomly. I think it was for a Sunday dinner, but still, yeah, I think it would be really nice to have a housekeeper. So now I'm going to go ahead and double this part of the recipe so I have some extra cream sauce. I've got 8 egg yolks in the mixer, and we're going to go ahead and beat this and slowly mix in a cup of sugar. I also have 3½ cups of milk on the stove heating up and boiling. It just boiled over, so now we're back to slowly beating in the sugar. Alright, so we're very particular about this next part. It needs to be pale yellow and do something that's called form the ribbon, so that when I pull up the beater here, the pieces form a little ribbon as they go back into the sauce. Now we go ahead, so this is good, now we're going to go ahead and put in the 3½ cups of milk that I have come to a boil on the stove, and that's mixed in very slowly to so we don't curdle the eggs. I've got the sauce ready to go back into the saucepan and back on the stove, but I think that the egg whites are almost done cooking, so let me check those. Just another couple minutes there, but this pours back into the saucepan and cooks over a medium heat until it's reduced quite a lot and has become a cream that will coat the spoon. And this will get stirred continuously while it's on the stovetop. So here's the egg white part. It's just come out of the oven and it rose like it was supposed to, and it's slightly browned. So now it sits on a cooling rack for a little while before I cross my fingers and see if it'll come out of the mold. Now I have my custard-like sauce here. It goes back into the mixer so that I can add in the vanilla, and I mix it while it's cooling. Now this sits in a pan of ice water, and I stir it occasionally until it's ready to serve. At this point, everything's been made that technically goes into the recipe. I've got my custard sauce cooling, and the egg whites are cooling inside the mold in the fridge. Now it's a couple of hours later, everything is cooled, and I've got the tin flipped over on a plate. Let's see how it goes. Last thing we do here is just drizzle all of this caramel sauce back over the top. The cream sauce gets poured all around the outside. Nancy Drew style floating island in a Sunday afternoon.